Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. I am your host, Harris, and today I am in the stead of our other host, Schmook. He's over in Europe right now, so we're going to go over She-Hulk Episode 3 and give it an MCubed-Grade review. Without further ado, let's do further. So the first tenet that we go over is production design. Now, honestly, I'm going to go ahead and give it a full point. Now, the production design in She-Hulk is fairly simple, but I do like that they are taking advantage of the different locations that they have. They're bringing Jen to different bars. She's going out and about with her friends. She's also had work that she's going back to all the time. She has other places she goes for work, like Emil Blonsky's cage in prison. She has a lot to do, and she's going around, and there's not necessarily a grand production scale, but we get to see a lot of things, and I'm going to go ahead and give that a full point for that. Now, the score and soundtrack is our second tenet, and I think it's kind of been back and forth so far. I think Schmook gave the overall episode last time an 8 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10, I believe, and I think score and soundtrack was somewhere that he believed it was lacking, and I am in agreement there, honestly. I think if you have a score, if you have a soundtrack at all, they are there to increase what your feelings are, what the emotions that you're getting from that medium is, and what they are supposed to be. And although we do get Megan Thee Stallion in the back end of this, which makes me almost want to give it half a point, I think I got to keep it as a 0 point, because really you get to jam out to her stuff at the end, like post-credit wise, and I don't necessarily think that brings anything to the full episode. I did not enjoy it. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun thing. I'm in my young 20s. My whole age group is with Megan Thee Stallion, so it wasn't jarring to me. I'm used to that. It came from Jessica Gao writing it, the girl that wrote the Pickle Rick episode. It was funny. It was genuinely funny. But I'm not going to give score and soundtrack a plus or even half a plus from that. So we're going to go ahead and give that a 0. So I believe that is a 1 out of 2 so far on our scale. Halfway, not too bad, not too bad. It's a 50-50. Well, let's see where we're going from there. So, from there we have sound is our third tenet. And sound is different from score and soundtrack. It's not music, it's not an added piece. It is an added piece, but it's not an added musical thing, more so where it's an added auditory cue. The things that help you understand what's going on. It's going to be the big noise that you feel the earth shake as She-Hulk or Hulk jumps around, things like that. And I think it could be better because she is She-Hulk. Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk. There's a lot of things going on. Every step you should feel that weight, and I think that weight is being lost a little bit in the comedy. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but I would like to just have a little bit more of that sound feel like, yeah, maybe this isn't a superhero-esque show 100% in a superhero world. We have a superhero, quote-unquote, and she's not really doing superhero things for the most part. She's just doing her normal day job, which she enjoys, and she doesn't really have an interest in doing those superhero things, but I feel like that presence that she has should be felt more, and sound is an easy way of doing that. Now, that brings us to, I believe, a 1.5 out of 3. So we're still on our 50 mark. We're still on our 50-50 mark. Now let's keep moving. Our next tenet that we're going over is editing. And the editing can be a little dicey at times, but I can't think anything in this particular episode that takes me out of it with the editing. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a full plus. I think the editor does a good job in sequencing events and bringing us through the episode in a timely manner, and they do a good job with the comedy. And that's kind of pivotal in a show like this with the editing. You want to make sure the editing isn't stepping on any of the jokes, and it's not. I think we really do get the full effect of each and every joke, and that's a good time. I really do enjoy that. Now that brings us to our next tenet, effects. So I'm iffy on this one because I want to give leeway to CGI people. I understand that everybody working in VFX behind the scenes tasked with an incredibly hard job to make the uncanny valley not so uncanny. And they do a great job with Hulk, but Jennifer Walters just isn't there yet. I don't know if it's the actual CGI on her herself, because there are some scenes, particularly in episode 1, that are fantastic with her, and I think they really took a lot of time and effort do that, but one thing that I cannot get past is every time she walks into her office in her suit, that suit feels like a bobblehead on her body, and it takes me out of everything so fast. And I know the CGI guys, everybody work on the VFX, the animation, every little bit and every little aspect of this is doing their best. Marvel, give them a little more money, give them a little more time, something like that. Because I know they're trying hard, and I know they're extremely capable, but it doesn't feel like a full product all the time. I want that I want it to feel like a full product, you know? That's all I'm asking. So that brings us to our next tenet, cinematography. And, you know, there's nothing really out of the blue that grabs me as striking cinematography-wise. It's fairly simple. When you're having a conversation, it's cutting back and forth. It's not some dramatic pan that adds to the conversation. It's pretty generic cinematography. So I'm not going to say nothing. It's not detracting from the story by any means, so I'm not going to give it a 0. And I'm not going to give it a full point either, and we'll settle in the middle right here and give it a half a point. So that is our 6th tenet, and we're at 3.5 out of 6. Not amazing, but not too shabby, you know? That's keeping on track. Let's see where we're going from here. So our next tenet is casting. Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters is amazing. The supporting cast all does fantastic jobs. Forgive me for not knowing the name of the lady that was cast as the elf that is getting in trouble the entire episode, but just for a little side character, a quick job for her. She did fantastic. She had a lot of fun with that role. I think the casting is really doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing some of these cameos that, you know, obviously we'll get Daredevil down the road, but I like these cameos that we're going to get that we might not know who's playing them, like the Frogman and these different people, because that's fun. And the casting's obviously done well so far, so I'd love to see what they're going to do with that. So I'm going to give that a full 1. And I believe that gives us a 4.5 out of 7 so far. So we're working our way up in the world, huh? Brings us to our next tenet, acting. So if I'm just talking and gushing about Tatiana Maslany saying how good she is as Jennifer Walters, yeah, I'm gonna say the acting is doing exactly what it's meant to be. I said that funky. The acting has been done well, and I think is continuing to do well. Tatiana Maslany is obviously our big heavy hitter in the acting chops here. But she's got just a wonderful supporting cast that are all doing exactly what they're meant to be. They're doing their jobs, you know, as an actor should. And it really is bringing a fun show forward, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm going to give acting a full 1 out of 1. And that brings us to our next tenet, which is writing. So Jessica Gao is the writer for the show, the lady that wrote the Pickle Rick episode for Rick and Morty. And you can tell, especially in this episode, I really enjoyed what she brought to it, and yeah, no, I'm giving this another full 1. Now, with the actors doing exactly what they're supposed to do, with the writing doing exactly what it's meant to do, the direction follows suit. And of course, the actors are following suit of the direction and the writing from that. But I think all of it pans out precisely how they mean for it to pan out. So I think they do an excellent job with it. This might not be something that would come from my mind. It might not be something that would come from maybe the Russo brothers' mind, but thankfully Jessica Gao is around town, and they hired her for this because, I mean, she's really embracing She-Hulk, and it feels like the direction is... I haven't read all the comics. I've read very few She-Hulk comics, and this embraces what I've seen and read from those, and I'm enjoying it so far. I really am. So I'm going to give this one a full 1 out of 1. And that brings us to a total of 7.5 out of 10. 75 out of 100 is an easy way of translating that. And, you know, really not too shabby. I know the first episode, I think Schmoot gave it a 6 out of 10 or a 6.5 out of 10, somewhere like that. The last episode was an 8 out of 10. This episode was great, but I'm going to reel it back just a little bit as a 7.5. And I think it was a solid entry in She-Hulk, and I'm looking forward to what we have coming forward. The Megan Thee Stallion stuff cracked me up. I like that they're having real-world cameos just as much as they're having in-world cameos. It's really a joy to watch, and Marvel, come on, bring the heat. I'm enjoying it. Thank you, Jessica Gao, and give us some more She-Hulk. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and tell us what you thought about the episode in the comment section. Now, have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next one.